It looks like the Confederates in the center have broken. They seem to be running. That's going to give me an opportunity to get some forces over towards the victory hex so I can get some victory points. They broke not because of my infantry, but I'm sure because of my artillery fire. The Union artillery is very effective in this scenario. The the lieutenant leading the unit is very, very good. Historically, he had only been in the army for a year, but he was very efficient in this battle. And looking towards my left flank, seems to be actually holding at that at the creek level. I've stabilized it a little bit. I still need to bring up some reinforcements. And here's a unit that has reformed after retreating, the 9th New York. And I'm going to go ahead and bring them up into the woods. Okay, I've got the 6th New York Cavalry as a reserve force. It's also getting me victory points for holding that hex. I have the 12th Illinois Cavalry here. It's time to move these guys out of this position. They're holding their own against the forces crossing Willoughby Run, but they're outnumbered 3-1 on the forces in the run, and they've got a Confederate regiment giving flanking fire or near flanking fire on their left here. So it's time to withdraw them a little bit up the hill, get them closer to the main line of resistance. Right now they are being supported by flanking fire from the 17th Pennsylvania. I'm going to bring the 17th Pennsylvania up into these woods here. I don't expect them to last long. They're exhausted. But if I can get a couple good volleys into these Confederate forces, the flank and rear of the Confederate forces moving to the woods, they may make a difference. As you can see, they're already coming under fire here. So I don't expect to get much out of them. And sure enough, there's Confederate forces advancing through the woods. And the 17th is running. I got about one volley out of them. But hopefully anything I can do to relieve the pressure on my left. And moving on to my center, it looks like the 12th Illinois here has just about done all it can today. Significantly attrited, and it's got a Confederate regiment to its front. I want to try to pull it. I'm going to try to pull it out here. There we go. My right flank looks pretty clear. Only Confederates are there on Hare Ridge. Looks like they've given up the attack on that flank. So I'm going to move shift forces here. Here's some forces over on Chambersburg Pike. We're going to go ahead and take this Confederate attack in the flank here. Oh, we're going to charge instead, it looks like. And you can see the Confederate unit there in front of me just took some artillery fire. But we're going to charge them from the rear. This should be effective. And the cavalry charge against the Confederate center was effective. That's going to buy me some more time. Relieves a lot of pressure on my front, and hopefully give me a chance to shift some forces to my left. I'm in Reynolds Woods right now on the extreme left, looking southwest. There's a couple of broken units here, and they've reformed. I want to go ahead and try to once again advance them against the Confederate right flank, and hopefully relieve pressure on my left flank. And it looks like the Confederate right may be collapsing right now. I'll advance my units here to this fence line and use it as a line of resistance against the Confederates. And it looks like they're trying to reform. I think I may have actually shattered their right. And looking here, it does in fact look like the Confederate right flank is broken and is retreating. Looks like he's shifting a regiment further south, but they're going up Hare Ridge. So we stabilize their front. I'm going to bring a regiment back to the top of McPhersons Ridge, gets more victory points, and give him a chance to rest here. Yeah, he's trying to reform a regiment and re-advance into the woods, it looks like. I'm bringing up some cavalry here. And in fact, there's a Confederate force, it looks like, trying to use McPhersons Woods as a avenue of approach, a concealed avenue of approach. So we're going to go ahead and engage them. Looks like they're kind of caught there, right at where Willoughby Run meets the woods. So we're going to go ahead and try to flank them. We're firing now. Up, and there goes the regiment. These guys I'm using for maneuver in the woods are very tired. They just do not have any stamina anymore. And moving on to my center, it looks like I've caught the remnants of a Confederate regiment in Willoughby Run. They're in a very bad position right now. We'll just kind of keep them there. And the Confederates are making another move up the unfinished railroad, and I need to shift some forces again. That was unexpected. Okay, I'm frantically searching around for a cavalry unit to plug that gap, and there's not much. 8th New York is about it. So we'll go ahead and get them moving towards, oh happy day, it looks like maybe the artillery has driven off the Confederate move up the center. It looks like Heath's division is pretty well spent too, if they were unable to last longer than that. And here in the lower left-hand corner, you see the Union 1st Division arriving. This is the lead element of the 1st Corps. So the Union has successfully held until the Corps arrives on the field. And my left flank appears to be stable. I've got units in Reynolds Woods. They are not in contact with Confederates. They seem to have retreated up the hillside there. And normally I go ahead and withdraw a little bit back to my defensive position. But it looks like I am in contact here, so it'll be a little bit of a trick to actually pull these regiments out. Well, I've managed to pull off a victory here in this scenario. However, to put it in perspective, in the real engagement on McPhersons Ridge, Buford lost 127 soldiers. As you can see from this slide here, I lost 421, so I suffered almost 3 times the casualties as the Union Cavalry Division did. Moreover, my units are pretty much combat ineffective. You see Gamble's brigade here is exhausted. His various regiments are all pretty much done. Were this in historical terms, it would be combat ineffective. They would need to be pulled back for rest. In Devon's brigade, it's doing a little bit better. It has, here's the 9th New York, no casualties. The 17th Pennsylvania, which distinguished itself in this virtual battle, is exhausted also. 6th New York, which is actually rested, is actually still effective, but it didn't do a very good job in this battle. And the 3rd West Virginia, which was pretty much not engaged at all during the course of the virtual battle. In this scenario, the Union artillery was the major cause of casualties for the Confederate. Here, one section, 129 Confederate casualties. Another section, 150 Confederate casualties. Artillery during the Civil War was a major cause of casualties for both armies. Absolutely devastating at close range. And in this battle, historically, the Union artillery was very well handled. As far as lessons learned from this particular scenario, I think 3 of them stand out. First of all, it's very difficult to withdraw engaged units from battle. In this engagement, I had, on several occasions, regiments that I wanted to pull out and was unable to because they were in contact. And this becomes a major issue on day 2 of Gettysburg with General Sickles' corps, where he advanced it into the Peach Orchard and was unable to withdraw it back to more defensible terrain once he became engaged with the Confederates. A second lesson is that artillery support is absolutely vital for either a defensive or offensive action. In this scenario, the Union artillery was very effective. The Confederate artillery did not provide very adequate support. My positioning of my cavalry units forward along Willoughby Run should have been driven off by Confederate artillery, which outnumbers the Union artillery by about 2 to 1. That they were not engaged and driven from those advanced positions basically allowed them to harass the Confederate attack across the run and inflict numerous casualties. Proper artillery support by the Confederates could have prevented that. And finally, in this scenario, the Confederate forces attacked in an uncoordinated fashion. Rather than have their 2 brigades attack simultaneously across Willoughby Run, they attacked piecemeal. And that allowed me to shift forces as I lost forces, as they routed, as they became exhausted. A coordinated attack would have allowed the Confederates to exploit these situations. Because they were uncoordinated, I was able to shift forces from one end of the battlefield to the other. And that's pretty much actually what happened in real life. The Confederate attack was uncoordinated.